Yes, good morning, students. So today we are going to start our next topic, fungi. But before this, I'm going to repeat what we have done earlier. So in yesterday's lecture, we have studied about kingdom Protista. And you know that kingdom Protista is further divided into 5 types of organisms. The first type of organisms, they are known as the chrysophytes. And I have described you the features of the chrysophytes. And among these chrysophytes, we have 2 types of organisms. One is diatoms and another are golden algae. So here on your screen, the diatoms, they are visible to you. So now proceeding with the next one, chrysophytes, the features are very much clear to you that they are freshwater and marine organisms, photosynthetic, having overlapping shells, somewhat similar to a soapbox. Deposits of silica are there in their cell wall. And when these animal, they leave their habitats, then they accumulate the silica deposits in their habitat, and when it remains in their habitat for millions of years, then they are referred to as a diatomaceous earth. So this diatomaceous earth, it is used for variety of purposes like polishing, filters, and another very important thing is that these diatoms, they are the chief producers in oceans. So after diatoms, we have the another organisms that's come under these, and they are known as the dinoflagellate. I have already described the features of dinoflagellates. So most of the dinoflagellates, they are the marine protist. Some are freshwater organisms also. They are mostly unicellular. Some of the organisms, they are photosynthetic, means they act as primary producers of the aquatic food chains. And these dinoflagellates, they have 2 types of flagella. One flagella that is present on the lateral position and another that is present on the longitudinal position or the posterior position. And another thing is that these dinoflagellates, they have different type of pigments that are actually present in them. And sometimes these dinoflagellates, one of the important type of dinoflagellates such as goniolax, it has a very rapid rate of multiplication. So sometimes when you see the water currents that are rising in the ocean, it appears red in color because of the rapid multiplication rate of the goniolax. And another thing is that they produce toxins, and these toxins are very much poisonous. And by these toxins, they can even kill larger animals. So I have not shown you the picture yesterday. So see, this is the picture of the dinoflagellates. So their structure is somewhat like this. So they develop different type of colors depending upon whatever kind of pigments they are present in them. So they have different type of pigments, yellow, green, brown, blue, or red. And because of this, they have different colors in their cell walls, and they appears like red, greenish, yellow, blue, etc. Yes, student, next is a euglena or euglenoids. So I have already explained you that these euglenoids, they are actually the freshwater organisms, and they are also found in the stagnant water. And beside the cell wall, a pellicle layer, which is proteinaceous in nature, it is present in them. And they also have flagella for locomotion, and both the flagella, they are the unequal type of flagella. One is a shorter flagella, another is a longer flagella. So mostly euglenoids, they are photosynthetic in nature, means they are able to produce their food. But sometimes when the conditions are not appropriate in their habitat, in that situation, they generally behave as heterotrophs, and then they dependent on other organisms for obtaining their food. So 90% of euglenoids, they are freshwater euglenoids. They are found in puddles, ditches, ponds, streams, lakes, rivers, etc. But few forms are also there which are found in the oceans or marine environment. So the representative member of euglenoids is Euglena. Yes, student, here I have shown you the picture of these euglenoids. So in the fresh water, these euglenoids, they have shown the structure like this. And next is slime molds. And I have already explained to you that slime molds are the only protists which are actually the saprophytic type of protist. That means they are growing on dead and decaying organic matter, and from where they obtain their nutrition. So they generally found in the form of a large aggregate of cells on the decaying twigs, leaves, wooden logs, etc. And you know that they are made up of cellular aggregates, not a single cell. And their cellular aggregates, it keeps on dividing again and again and add so many new cells in this aggregate. So this entire body, which is in the form of a cellular aggregate, it is actually known as the plasmodium. So this plasmodium, it later differentiate when the conditions are not favorable, and they form fruiting bodies. And these fruiting bodies, they bear spores at its tips, and later on when the wind blow, then these spores are dispersed and they again form the body of the you can say slime molds. So in this way, the slime molds, they lead their life cycle. So here I am going to show you the picture of slime molds. So see, they are in the form of cellular aggregates on the wooden logs, twigs, etc. And in the second picture, I am showing you the fruiting bodies that develops on these slime molds when the conditions, they are not favorable. So these fruiting bodies, they have spores inside them. So when they get mature, the air blow, then these fruiting bodies, they comes out, and in this way they further grow, these spores further grow and form the body of the slime. Yesterday last is protozoa. So I have already explained you that protozoa, they are generally consist of one cell, they are unicellular. And this cell is performing all the physiological functions like locomotion, reproduction, respiration, ingestion, digestion, excretion, etc. So these protozoans, they also vary in their size as well as shape, while others require higher magnification. They cannot be easily visible to you by your naked eye, so you can only observe them through the microscope. Regarding their habitat, so most of the protozoa, they are free living, but some of them are the parasitic one. Another thing is regarding their reproduction. So both type of reproduction, that is sexual and asexual reproduction, it is found in protozoa. So majority of the protozoa, they reproduced by asexual reproduction. So we have four main types of protozoan. I have already explained their features in my previous lecture. First is amoeboid protozoan. So these protozoan, they generally found in fresh water, in sea water, and in moist soil also. And they move and capture their prey by putting out false feet-like structure as it is found in amoeba. And this is known as pseudopodiums. So that's why their name is amoeboid protozoan. A common example of amoeboid protozoans are entamoeba. So entamoeba, they are generally parasites and they cause a disease, amoeboic dysentery. And the full name of entamoeba is Entamoeba histolytica. Another are flagellated protozoans. So here, as I have already explained you, that if they are flagellated protozoan, this means their locomotory organs are flagellate. So this type of protozoans, they may be found free living or parasitic, and they have flagella as their locomotory organs. And these flagellated protozoans, they are a common example is trypanosoma. So this trypanosoma, they cause a disease which is known as African sleeping sickness. So third type of protozoans after this is ciliated protozoans. And the common example of ciliated protozoans is paramecium. So paramecium, they have well-developed organelles. And two nuclei are present inside the paramecium. One is the macronucleus and another is a small nuclei, which is known as micronucleus. So this larger macronucleus, it controls most of the metabolic functions that are generally occurring in the cell. Whereas the smaller micronucleus, it actually controls some of the pathways that are involved in sexual reproduction. As they comes under ciliates, so thousands of cilia, they appear on their pellicle-like layer, which is next to the cell wall. So in this way, they generally walk with the help of these cilia. So whenever they found their prey or food particles, these cilia, they propel the animal towards that direction. So last type of protozoa, they are known as the sporozoans or sporozoa. And the common example of these sporozoa are the malarial parasite Plasmodium. So I want to add more to your knowledge that 4 species of malarial parasite generally infect the human beings. These are Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium malariae, and Plasmodium falciparum. As I have told you that this malarial parasite, which is a protozoan, it is actually carried by a vector, and this vector is the female Anopheles mosquito. So it is transmitted by female Anopheles mosquito. Regarding the geographical distribution of the disease malaria, so malaria is present worldwide in tropical and subtropical areas. Regarding the transmission of the disease, so generally this disease is transmitted when the Anopheles mosquito, it pick the blood that contains the infectious stage sporozoites of the Plasmodium and inject that blood into the healthy person. So here the Anopheles, female Anopheles mosquito, it actually acts as the vector and it is involved in the transmission of the disease from a person who is a patient of malaria to a healthy person. Besides this, malaria is also transmitted by blood transfusion and sharing of the contaminated needles among the drug addicts or abusers. And congenital transmission is also documented in case of malaria. So that's all about the fire kingdom protozoa, kingdom protista, in which the last organisms, they are the protozoans. So let us proceed further. So after this, I'm going to tell you more about a new kingdom, that is the third kingdom among the, you can say, 5 kingdom system of classification, and that is the kingdom fungi. So here I'm going to tell you about kingdom fungi. So student, before we proceed further for kingdom fungi, I'm going to tell you in detail about these fungi, that the fungi, they are actually the heterotrophic type of organisms, and earlier they are put along with the kingdom plantae because of certain similarities that are found in their cell wall. As you know that the cell wall of a fungi is made up of a complex type of carbohydrate, and that is the chitin. Whereas the cell wall of plant, it is also made up of carbohydrates, and that is cellulose. So because of this similarity, fungi, which are actually the heterotrophs, they are put along with plants. But later, some of the scientists, they observed that fungi, they are truly heterotrophic in nature, whereas all the plants, they are phototrophic in nature. So they are separated from kingdom plantae, and later a separate kingdom is provided to these organisms, which are called as fungi. So these fungi, they also show a great diversity in their morphological as well as morphological structures and in their habitat also. So if you are talking about their habitat, so these organisms, they are generally having moisture rich conditions to proliferate. So whenever the moisture rich conditions are there, then these fungi, they grow more. And And where you find or observe these fungi, so generally they are growing on rotten fruits, vegetables, etc. You have also seen the common mushrooms, toadstools, etc. So all of these, they are the examples of fungi. So these fungi, they are causing so many plant diseases. So one of the disease that is caused by fungi in wheat plant is the black rust of wheat, the brown rust of wheat, and the fungi which cause this disease, black rust or brown rust, is Puccinia graminis. So what happened in this disease? The wheat plant, where the grains has to be borne in the spikes, instead of those grains, when the plant is suffering from this disease, black rust of wheat, so grain formation is not there within the spikes. Instead of grains, the spikes, they get filled with black powdery masses of spores of fungus, and in this way there is a large loss in the productivity of the wheat crop. So this is a disease which reduce the production of wheat crop every year, and it cause enormous loss to the wheat. And another disease is brown rust of wheat. So brown rust of wheat is also a similar kind of disease. It is also caused by a fungus. And here, instead of black rust, the brown rust, it is filled in the spikes, and grain formation is not there. Then another disease that is caused by these fungi in plants. There are different type of diseases which we see in case of plants. So you have to remember these two diseases. One is black rust of wheat and another is brown rust of wheat. So proceeding further, you have also heard about the fungi, Penicillium. That is, the full name of the fungi is Penicillium notata. And you also remember that from Penicillium notatum, we obtained antibiotic, and that is penicillin. So during the World War II, this penicillin, it is actually used for treating the wounded soldiers of America. And after this, the scientist who have discovered penicillin, that is Alexander Fleming, he was awarded with Nobel Prize. So generally, these fungi, they are cosmopolitan in nature. They can grow very easily in different type of habitats, like they are present in air, water, land also. Even they are growing on the roots of the trees. You have also heard about mycorrhiza. What are these mycorrhiza? So this mycorrhiza is actually a kind of a symbiotic association between the fungi and the roots of the higher plants. So sometimes the hyphae of the fungi, which are actually the thread-like structures, they grow on the outer surface of the roots of the trees. So such type of mycorrhizal association, it is known as actomycorrhiza. But sometimes the fungal hyphae, they invade the roots and they enters into the root cortical cells, and there the fungi live. And this fungi, it protects the roots from any kind of infection also. If the fungi invades inside the root, then such type of mycorrhizal association, it is known as endomycorrhiza. So as it is a symbiotic association, so this means the tree as well as the fungi, both are benefited from each other. The fungi, it fixes different type of nutrients for the growth of the tree, and also protect the roots from any kind of pathogenic infections. Whereas on the other hand, the tree, it provides food to this heterotrophic organism, fungi. So in this way, a symbiotic association is there between the roots of the trees and the fungi. So proceeding further, if I am talking about the body of the fungi, then the body of the fungi, it actually appears in the form of thread-like structures. So there are numerous thread-like structures, and a single thread, it is known as hyphae in case of fungi. And so many thread-like structures, when they are intertwined with each other, then there is a group of thread-like structures. They are actually known as the mycelium. So what is mycelium? Mycelium is the group of hyphae. So if we study the structure of a single hyphae, what you see that sometimes so many nuclei, they are present inside these hyphaes, and each nucleus has no cell wall surrounds it. So all of these nuclei, they are free suspended in the protoplasm of the hyphae. So such type of hyphaes, they are known as these hyphaes, which contain so many nuclei and no cell wall is there. So such type of hyphaes, they are known as the syncytic hyphaes. And there are some of the hyphaes which generally have cell walls which surround each nucleus, so they are known as the non-syncytic hyphaes. And another very important thing is that we are talking about the cell wall of fungi. So always remember the cell wall of fungi is made up of chitin and complex type of polysaccharide. So polysaccharide here means poly means many and saccharide means sugar units. So fungi, they are also saprophytic in nature. They are also parasitic in nature. And sometimes they act as symbiotes, as I have already explained you. The symbiotic association with the roots of the higher plant of the fungi is known as mycorrhizal association. So it may be actomycorrhiza or endomycorrhiza, that where the fungi hyphae are present. If the fungi hyphae they are present outside the roots, then they are known as actomycorrhiza. If the hyphae they invade the roots and go inside, then it is known as endomycorrhiza. If we are talking about the reproduction in case of fungi, so students, fungi, they reproduce by all methods of reproduction, that is vegetative method, then asexual method also, and sexual method also. So if we are talking about the vegetative method, then it is simply by the method of fragmentation. So here the fungi hyphae breaks into different fragments, and each hyphae, it later form the entire body of the fungi. So not only fragmentation, by the method of fission, budding also, the fungi, they do vegetative reproduction. And regarding their asexual method, so here the fungi, they form different type of spores like conidia spores, sporangiospores, zoospores, etc. So among these, the zoospores, they are the motile ones because they have flagella present in them. And if we are talking about their sexual reproduction, so here in case of sexual reproduction, the different type of spores are formed depending upon whatever class of fungi is there. If we have Ascomycetes, then the sexual spores that are formed in these fungi are the ascospores. If we have Basidiomycetes, then basidiospores are there. And if we have Oomycetes, then we have oospores. So here in case of sexual reproduction, two special type of events, it actually takes place in fungi. So first is plasmogamy and second is karyogamy. So always remember, plasmogamy means the fusion of protoplasm of the two hyphae. So two hyphae of different stem, one is male hyphae and other is female hyphae. They come near to each other, they fuse with each other. So first the protoplasm of both the hyphae, they mix together. So this event is known as plasmogamy. Another is the karyogamy. So in karyogamy, as the word itself indicates, karyon means nucleus. So when the protoplasm of the two hyphae, they mixed with each other, then the nuclei of the two hyphae, one is male and another is female, they also come in contact with each other, and later both the nuclei fuse and form a zygote. So fusion of the nuclei, it is actually known as the karyogamy. One very important thing I want to tell you here is that we have four classes of fungi. Class Phycomycetes, it is actually the, you can say, primitive type of fungi. Then after class Phycomycetes, we have class Ascomycetes, then Basidiomycetes, and then the last is Deuteromycetes or fungi imperfecta. So student, another very important thing is that in class Basidiomycetes, special type of structures are formed which are known as dikaryotes. So what is the main story about these dikaryotes? As you know that there are two events And the method of sexual reproduction in fungi, one is plasmogamy and another is karyogamy. So plasmogamy is actually the fusion of the protoplasm of the two hyphae, and karyogamy is actually the fusion of the two nuclei. So what happened in case of Basidiomycetes fungi? The two hyphae, they come near to each other, their protoplasm they mix. This means plasmogamy can easily occur. But the nucleus of the two hyphae, they remain as it is for some time. They do not fuse. And that stage is known as dikaryophase. And the structure where the two nuclei, male and female nuclei, they are remaining in the same fused hyphae structure is known as a dikaryon. So always remember, dikaryon is a special type of structures that are unique to the class Basidiomycetes. So student, revise your chapter up to page number 23, the general features of the fungi. So that's all in today's lecture, student. Have a nice day.